Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Memorial Day. Happy Monday. I hope you guys are having an awesome holiday weekend. Thank you guys for being here and hanging out with me on this Monday afternoon. Jump into chat wherever you're watching. I'll say hi to as many of you as I can, and then we'll get this officially started here at the top of the hour. And I'll try not to cough into your ears as much as I possibly can. But I am still in pretty rough shape, so just bear with me. I'm gonna do as good as I can for as long as I can. I don't know how long we're gonna go today. I don't know how much we're gonna get through, but we'll see how it goes. Uh, let's see, Just Jesse, and thank you for the lemon Q-Oys, Lucy Anders. Welcome, you guys over there on D Live. I see. Oh, where's my Rumble go? There it is. Soldier American out there. Great to see you, Jolene. Doing her mod thing, keeping the chat super comfy. Excuse me. Yeah, there's gonna be quite a bit of that today. Um, all right, and let's see who's all hanging out in the comfy bunker as well. Oh, scroll up. Delia in there first. Yes, happy Monday, Delia. Floyd, due diligence in the house as well. There's Pill Promos, Maven, dropping all the links. Thank you, Maven. We love you. Light Spirit Lance, good to see you out there as well. Joe Elaine, keeping the chat super comfy as always. We love you, Joe. Let's see who else. Ken Chris, welcome, Chris. Good to see you. Happy Memorial Day. Due diligence says cheer with a can says in memory of all our fallen warriors, past and present. Yeah, absolutely. A day to remember everyone who sacrificed for this country to create this republic, to maintain this republic, and all the freedoms that unfortunately so many take for granted. Let's see who else is out there. R. Harrell, welcome. Good to see you, R. Harrell. Range Pony and Running Patriot. Pip's mom checking in from across the pond in Wales. Good to see you, Pip. Big Willie, how you doing? Tweety 52, good to see a soldier. American, oh, that's the second time I said hi to you. That's all right. Milan Labe, good to see you, Kaiman. Hope all is well. Faithful mom in the house as well. Cynthia and Sig, your Dragon Slayer. Fazik, how you guys doing? Is that everybody? Small crowd today. I guess everyone's out doing their Memorial Day plans, cookouts, and whatnot. So I kind of expected a smaller audience today, and that's all good. Like I said, I don't even know how long I'm going to be going live today. This might be very, very quick if I can't really get through much without hacking up a lung over here. It has been rough. Too quick. Good to see you, Seaside Lady. Good to see you as well over on Rumble. Hit that thumbs up button on Rumble. Hit the red pill. I'd tell you to repost the show, but honestly, I don't know if I actually want you to today because I don't know how this is gonna go. Maybe as few people should see this one as possible. I've never done a subscribers only stream, but today feels like maybe a good day to do that. Just to limit the exposure to this shit show. I sound better than Friday. I don't feel any better than Friday, Floyd, but that's good. At least I sound better. I'm trying to talk quietly because if I raise my voice, I immediately start coughing and it starts cracking like I'm going through puberty. It's been um, a rough weekend. Jeff Den in from Commie Canada. Good to see you, Jeff. I hope you're having a good weekend. Well, I guess the weekend's over. Hope you had a good weekend. Doesn't feel like a Monday. This is the holiday here, so I'm all screwed up. All right, I'm gonna start the intro and we'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you, Boys Blanc, and good to see you. It's happy Memorial Day. Yeah, right back at you, Boys Blanc. Thank you for the cookie. All right, guys, we'll see you in a few minutes.
We will make America strong again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Y'all for tuning in, Patriots United, doing what we gotta do to win. Be addicted, the MS7, now we're moving in. And once we take over, we won't ever move again. Where we go on, we go all, I say it with pride. No, we won't run, we won't fall, we're right by your side. The demons have taken hold, but none of us will abide. Stand strong, stand bold, that's how we'll survive. 412 is the production, Monday through Friday, deplorable discussions. We're making it hard for the deep state to function. Every time they switch up the narrative, we debunk it. Adult Nero is the power that's controlling the plight. With all the patriots behind them, cause we're all in this fight. So many rhyme for so long, but we're giving them sight. Trapped in the world of darkness, but we're bringing them light. You may even find yourself in a different life. A lot of us have, and honestly, that's perfectly fine. Because exactly where you are at this moment in life is where you're supposed to be at this moment in time. It's all by design, the patriots are holding the line. They must have lost theirs, thinking they're controlling our minds. So many trapped in mental prisons don't know they're confined. They're just slaves in the system till the roles are assigned. That's sad, the good news is that we're waking them up. They have monopolies on minds, but we're breaking them up. Everything you thought was news, they were making it up. When we ascend, all the tyrants won't be making the cut. Let them all burn in the hellscape they create. We the people already mapped out our escape. We hold each other by the hand as we all elevate and go to a different place. They can never get chased. When I look into the future, I can see that it's bright. When this history is written, they will see that we're right. We formed our own community and the circle is tight, but I expand the circle with every word that I write. The pen is sharper than the sword when you wield it with might. Why do you think they try to kick us off all the sights? These people hate America, punish us out of spite. We are the beacons of hope in the darkness of night. So let's go, strap in, yeah, get ready for the ride. Watch the water, we're witnessing the turning of the tide. Feel the passion and the fire that you got burning inside. Take the narrative they're feeding you and turn it to the side. We're alerted to the lies, we're preaching with the truth. We know the plan they devised, they're invading the youth. Now we're homeless and advised to start raising our boots. These demons all weaponized. Now we're raising our troops. Now we're raising the roof and sounding the alarm. Remember that it's always darkest before the dawn. Life is a game of chess. They want to use you as a pawn. You're only useful until you're not useful, then you're gone. But not us, we're on the right team where we belong. Everybody is invited, so come follow along. We refuse to say things are right knowing they're wrong. Adult Nero, take the mic and take flight, cause it's on.
And now, straight from the Steel City, it's your host, 412 Adult Nero.
All right, what's up, everybody? And again, welcome back. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you guys so much for spending some of your holiday weekend with me here. Drunk Pinata sent us. We're on our way. Oh, cool. All right. So Pinata, I hope Pinata is joining, because if I have to be the only one talking today, this is gonna not go well. But yeah, I've had for those of you that don't know, I am my throat and voice are all fucked up. I don't feel sick. Like I don't feel like I have a fever or a cold or anything like that. I spoke too much hookah like early last week, and it was like Monday night with a friend of mine. And I have not been the same since. And excuse me. And yeah, I've just been coughing and just hacking up phlegm ever since. And it's just really hard to speak with any volume without my voice cracking really bad, or without having to break into a coughing fit. So I wanted to do a show Saturday morning. There was just no way. I wanted to do one Sunday morning to make up for it. There was just no way. And honestly, I kind of wanted to cancel the show today, but I feel like I've canceled too many recently. So I'm giving this my best shot. And I appreciate you guys all bearing with me as best we can. I'm not going to do sponsors today, I don't think, because one, it's a smaller audience. So I don't really feel like they're gonna get their money's worth. So we'll reschedule the sponsors on a show where one I can actually speak loud enough to get that across, and two where we have our normal audience, because right now I know there's just a lot of people out and not really plugged in today. I mean, I hope everybody's out there having a good time, doing things with friends and family and celebrating the day as best they can. But again, thank you those of you that are here. And yeah, I've been drinking lots of water. I've used honey. I've had some cough drops. Like I've tried everything. It just feels so raw and swollen all the way down my throat, like just very raw. And no, it's not Ebola cycle, Chris. I just like I said, it was after the hookah bar. Like I just really too much hookah. I haven't smoked hookah in a long time, so I'm just not used to it, and just kind of went overboard. So hey, what's up, Diddy Style? Good to see you. Um, Smoking is no bueno. Thank you for the can. Yeah, Floyd, if you want to jump in, you can, man. Why not? I feel like today's a perfect day for you to jump in on the panel if you want to. Again, I don't know how long we're gonna go, or what this is all going to entail, but uh, you've served this country, and I know Memorial Day holds a special place in your heart, as it should for all of us. But I'd love to get your perspective on Memorial Day and what it means to you. So if you want to jump in and be part of today's show, I'd love that. You know how to get in here, right? Let me know. If not, I'll DM you a link. Um, yeah, there's Pinata. Let's get him in here. It saved me. Yo, what's up, Pinata? How you doing, man?
How you doing?
I've been better. My voice and throat are all fucked up. So um doing my best to see how long we can go here today. How was your weekend?
Pretty good. Just actually just a bunch of chores, honestly, and watching some playoff hockey. Things just taking it easy.
Nice. Nice. Boys ball, thank you for the cookie. Says you look great. Quit whining. I'm not whining. I'm just explaining why I sound like crap, and why this might be a shorter broadcast today. How was your show, Pinata? You have a good one?
Yeah, so we were able to go through and really kind of break down essentially the final arguments for both sides of this case. So you have the mainstream media on each side kind of putting, everything out there ahead of this closing arguments that are going to happen tomorrow. So
Okay.
we went over all of that. So they still are not able to, and are perfectly fine with not identifying what Trump is actually charged with. And I'm really glad that over the weekend the phrase "choose your own adventure" has been catching on, because that's something I was saying as soon as they said that they didn't have to agree. I'm like, this is a choose your own adventure, like to choose your own story. It is, and to me, that's reasonable doubt. Okay, number one, the DA didn't ever define what they say a second crime was. They say that there's a New York law that says that they don't have to define it. However, from what I understand, according to New York law, in order for a grand jury to return a felony indictment, they do have to identify it. So they misused the grand jury process. The judge should have known this. The judge should have dismissed this, or at least made them define it. They didn't define it. They went through the entire trial. Now they get to the end of it. Now they're in jury instructions and deliberation from the defense and the prosecution about that, where they're allowing them to not even agree on what they think a second crime was. And as a matter of fact, even that second crime includes a separate thing, a separate element where they don't even have to specify what they intended or what the intention was of the intention. It's so removed from, and it's so convoluted that it every single step of this is reasonable doubt. The fact that they can't define it, they're asking them to define it, and I'm really hoping that the two lawyers that are in there are going to understand this. So, and the really good thing, over the weekend, I saw that there was a breakdown of the jury and what their media consumption was, and I think this bodes pretty well. So, if you look at jurors 1 through 12, and you look at the makeup here. So this is juror number 1 is your foreman, and your juror 3 and 7 are lawyers. If you go to the breakdown, the foreman is consuming MSNBC. Now that might look bad, but if you look at the bottom, he also consumes Fox News. So I don't know if he's watching my show or what, but if you have somebody that watches MSNBC and Fox News, admittedly, and Daily Mail, which no one else is doing, I'm assuming you have someone that's somewhat understanding of media in general. Then when you have juror number 3 and 7, they do not consume MSNBC. They don't even consume CNN. They don't not consuming Fox News, but they're consuming essentially your typical newspapers, your New York Times, your Wall Street Journals. As lawyers, I can understand why they would both be in the Wall Street Journal category as
Mhm.
far as what they consume. So I'm hoping that they have some sort of professional integrity and understand that this is absolutely reasonable doubt. I don't know what type of lawyers they are. I don't, you know what I mean? If they're prosecutors or defense attorneys or what, but civil, criminal, I don't know. But they should know enough if they pass the bar to understand that there has been little to no due process. There's been constitutional violations about as far as being able to defend against what you're being accused. There's so many issues at play here. Obviously, all of it is out in appeal. So it comes down to, do these people want to participate in the full dismantling and essentially election interference that they claim that this supposedly was about? So I still think there's with even within the jury instruction nonsense that there is a possibility for a hung jury, but I am always been prepared for my initial emotional dealing with this is that I was always prepared for a guilty verdict.
Mhm.
Always. I said that is what's going to happen. I'm preparing myself, and I've been doing that this entire time just because it was. However, I was like, well, but there is, even within the confines of the bullshit way that they've constructed this, there's still an out for the jury if they decide to do the wrong thing, even with the bullshit judge and the prosecution. So they still have an out. It's just going to come down to if they can command the room or not. If and they really just want to get this done and be done with it, because I really hope that the defense, it seems as though they're going to be able to present this in a good coherent way. And I like seeing other people, larger accounts. I think Salty Cracker picked up on this from Muse's post on X and Twitter. Another larger account where they're using this language of choose your own adventure. I think Robert Gueva, also another prominent YouTuber and a personality on X, is kind of, I think he's personal friends with like Viva Fry and those kinds of people. So I'm sure they've all had some offline conversations. And so I like that everybody's on the same page as far as the language of describing this. And if everybody, even without talking to each other, can arrive at that kind of a conclusion, to
Mhm.
me, that speaks volumes that the average person, not the average person like us that does this every day, but the average person who has now been sequestered into looking at this for what it is, day after day, for the last 5 weeks, that they can't understand what's going on with this.
Yeah. Yeah. So were the closing arguments today then, or
No, tomorrow.
tomorrow? I'll probably not even in session today because Memorial Day. So okay. So closing arguments are tomorrow, and then they'll
And
have
then it'll be jury instructions on Wednesday and then immediate deliberation.
okay. So we'll
And
have
then
to
we'll essentially, starting Wednesday afternoon, you're on verdict watch.
okay. What's your gut feel, Pinata? Do you think it'll be a quick turnaround? Do you think this is going to drag out a while?
Depends on the jury instructions.
Okay.
If he completely rejects all the defense's uh, requests for jury instructions, it'll probably be quick.
Okay.
It might be quick either way. I think there's a good chance because it's so polarizing. Was there something in the trial itself for any particular individual juror that they thought, okay, that's it for me. I've made up my mind. They tell them not to do that, but just telling somebody that and following through with that is two different things.
So, I mean, my gut would be like the longer it goes on, the better chance of a hung jury, right? Because typically that.
Well, because of they're making them choose their own adventure and they don't have to agree. If they go into Friday, I would say that they're trying to agree on one particular secondary, into the one of the secondary crimes and unanimously agree to it. So that makes their verdict look stronger. So I would say if we get in the medium zone, obviously there's two things can happen with an early verdict. Either it's acquittal or it's just full just guilty. Anything in the middle, I think is your best bet for a hung jury. And then anything past that, then you're back into um, guilty with a bunch of convoluted stuff. More than likely, it'll be like, well, Michael Cohen sent these invoices, so we're not going to say that Trump's responsible for that, or we're going to say, oh, well, here are these two checks Trump didn't sign, so maybe we're just going to charge him for the checks he signed, which is going to be very interesting considering they're from a personal account, by the way, personal. And also, I guess what I should convey to you guys, since you probably didn't see the show over the weekend with everything going on, um, the we figured out the exact timeline. So in December of 2016, at the very end of the month, we already know that Keith Davidson was contacted by Michael Cohen, and that Cohen was very distraught and complaining that he wasn't getting reimbursed for the 130,000. So much so that even Keith Davidson thought that Cohen might harm himself. That's how distraught he was. And we also had some of that with Costello back over in 2018 when he was meeting with him. He said he was pacing around like a tiger in a cage, and he had admitted that he felt suicidal and had almost considered jumping off a building just days prior to meeting Costello, where he told Costello he had nothing on Trump. Also in 2016, December 2016, after he talked with Keith Davidson, Stormy Daniels' attorney, about not being paid back, he met with Pecker and pleaded with him, because he knew Pecker was going to have a meeting with Trump, that he please, pretty please, with the cherry on top, convince Donald Trump to pay me for this payment. And what happened? Pecker, when he testified, says that Trump said, Cohen has a little bit more money than you think he does, meaning that he still, in December of 2016, had no intention of paying Trump, or Trump paying Cohen, and Cohen knew it. So he's upset he didn't get to go to Washington. He's upset that he didn't get paid. So how is there an agreement ahead of the election? There is none. And so what happens is that he meets with Trump in 2017, and Cohen and Weisselberg then met. So January 20th, Trump is president. January 27th, after Trump is president, is not there until Cohen meets with Weisselberg to iron out this thing. So they want to say that they have all these documents. They say that they have, here, let me share the screen real quick. That'll probably be easier for people. So they say they have this document where they have this handwritten notes, and this is an account statement. Oh my gosh, look, it's the $130,000, and there's an agreement to be repaid. When was it agreed to be repaid? That's everything. When was it agreed? In January 27th of 2017. So as long as Trump's lawyers can articulate these things, they'll be fine. Here's a check. This is from a personal account. I don't know if you can see it there. It says Capital One right there. Capital Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Now, this is the irrevocable trust account, which is maintained and managed by the Trump organization, but not an actual account for the Trump organization. So it's not a business entry, not a business record. Here's another note right here. So it even says right here, Michael Cohen, the 27th, 2017. Here's a little bit more of this the scrawl that you see from this thing over here, just a little bit different because they took off the $35 wire transfer fee. How generous, you know? And then we have here this retainer stubs where it says retainer, and we have also the pursuant to a retainer agreement. So I don't know who needs to hear this on the prosecution side, but if a lawyer says that I have a retainer agreement with you, and then a client proceeds to pay you a agreed upon retainer amount, the retainer amount can be whatever the lawyer wants it to be. I don't know. It can be high, it can be low, and higher price lawyers charge more. So a retainer could be lower or higher. So how did they determine what the retainer was going to be? Well, Cohen supposedly did a favor for Trump. He was Donald Trump's attorney at the time, so it could be argued that, you know, he maybe did actually owe Cohen for this, that it was a legal expense that was totally in the realm of being reimbursable, which turns out it was. So what did they do? They said, you know what, we'll take that since you say this is what we owe you. How about we pay you this rate? We're going to pay you this rate to reimburse you, and we'll even allow you to be the actual attorney for the president of the United States, the personal attorney for the president of the United States. And you can have that title because you remember he was upset that he wasn't going to be attorney general, that he wasn't going to be the chief of staff or any other position in the White House. So this was two things. Cohen did something personal, and if you even want to say they did it as his lawyer, then it's also a legal product. Then he was upset he wasn't going to have a position. So this settled two things. It settled a reimbursement, and it settled him getting a title that he wanted for whatever to make him happy or whatever for his emotional care, whatever he said. Didn't he say his bonus that he stole? He said he upped it. It was for personal care. Sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you put the timeline out there and everything, they do not have what they say is the narrative of the case. And I really, really hope if I can figure this out, that Trump's lawyers can figure this out and that they will convey this during closing arguments.
Yeah. And I think I would imagine they would. I would imagine they would. So that's a great analysis, Pinata. And thank you for bringing that to the show, not just today, but you've been really great about providing like the detailed insight into as much as we can really understand or get without actually being able to watch the trial or see what's going on inside the courtroom directly. So it's been really fantastic. I've got a few other things on that as well, but um, we'll get to those a bit later. Did you have anything else today that you wanted to show? Any media clips, anything like that before I introduce our special guest here today?
No, I might have something that I'll interject as we go along, but nothing prepared. I think that was a pretty succinct summary of everything.
Yeah, right on, man. All right, well, let's say hi to Mr. Due Diligence, Floyd Standifer, joining us today. Floyd, happy Memorial Day, man. How are you?
I wish I could say it was a happy Memorial Day, but when it comes down to the circumstances of the day and all the loss of life throughout the years, um, it's not necessarily happy.
Right. I guess that's the wrong way of
I know everybody's used to hearing it a certain way, and I'm not going to take that away from anybody, no matter what. But me serving for 27 years, 8 months, uh, watching friends, other family members of mine die in combat. Memorial Day has a new meaning to me. It's never happy. Trust me. And I'm seeing some comments in the chat from certain people. I'm not going to name names, but if you've never served, you don't know. So don't say anything.
hey, let it go, man. Let it go.
I know. That's exactly how I work. But today is supposed to be the day that you remember all those who passed away, who gave their lives to give all of you the freedoms that you have right about now. And yes, to include particular people that are saying whatever they want to say, it's guys like me that do it. Some gave all gave some. It's never, it's go out there, do your grilling, do your boating, do whatever you got to do. You know, if you want to say happy Memorial Day, fine, go ahead. I'm not going to take that from you. It's the first, it's, you know, the First Amendment, freedom of speech. But I see it totally differently than anybody else does. I lost friends in Iraq when I was there. And by the way, 412, I did the hookah out there in Iraq. I got the same thing you had, you have right about now.
How long did it
No,
last? You got it, man, because this has been a week now, or almost a week, and
it
it's
it
freaking
lasted about 2 weeks. It lasted about 2 weeks.
wonderful.
And but you know, it is what it is. Some of us are different. We heal faster, some of us heal slower. No big deal.
Yeah.
But me personally, all I can say is this: I'm happy to have served that 27 years and 8 months for all of you. I mean, I got close to death many times, especially out there in Iraq. And I know your background. I'm fighting for you guys as well. I'm fighting for your entire family as well. Just saying.
Well, we all thank you for your service, Floyd. And yeah, I didn't mean to insult you when I said Happy Memorial Day. It's I think more just the habit of any holiday, you know, way of greeting people, than really the full context of what the holiday is. But
No,
yeah,
no,
so but
you
no,
didn't insult me. You've never insulted me. I'm just saying exactly how I feel. It's not a happy day because we have to remember those who gave all just for all to include myself
what
to
do
be
you
here.
what do you do on Memorial Day, Floyd? I mean, I don't want to say celebrate, obviously, because it's not, you don't really want to celebrate the death of people, right? Like you were saying. So what do you do on Memorial Day? Like what how do you typically spend a day like this?
Well,
You know,
I'm
going
about ready to quite honestly, I'm about ready to light up my grill. You know, before I light up my grill, I'm going to head to the grocery store, get some beer. I'm going to take one of those beers and I'm going to pour it out on the ground for my brothers and my sisters that have fallen throughout the entire time. And then as I grill, I'm going to be thinking of them, and I'm going to leave a spot open on my dining room table for each and every last one of them. So one spot on the grill, or one spot at the dining room table, is always empty. It's always going to be there plated with all, everything that you would see if you went to a VFW for the missing man. That's how I do it every single year. I'll grill. Unfortunately, most of my kids are or excuse me, my stepkids are adults now, so they're not going to be here. So I just basically have to cook for myself and my wife, and then I have to take my wife's food up to her because she's at work right about now. But yeah, I always honor all of our fallen that very same way. I will grill. I will pour out an entire beer just for them, just because they deserve it just as much as I do, just as much as you do, just as much as Drunk Pinata does, just as much as Thumper Rose does. For those of us who gave everything that we could, this is what we do. You may not see it because you don't have the eyes to see it. And it's not an insult how I said that. It's just one of those things where maybe open your eyes just a little bit more and you'll see what we do. We honor each other no matter what. So that's all I can say about that.
I appreciate it, Floyd, and thank you for jumping on here today and helping me save a little bit of my voice. I really appreciate it. Here's something I'd like to get your thoughts on. couple of our favorites in Congress, a couple members of the squad, Cori Bush and Ilhan Omar. I don't know if you saw this, but they confused Memorial Day with Veterans Day and then deleted the tweets. So it says this Memorial Day and every day we honor our veterans in St. Louis. We must invest in universal health care, affordable housing, comprehensive mental health services, and educational and economic opportunities for our veterans as we work to build a world free of war and violence. And then Ilhan Omar says, on Memorial Day, we honor the heroic men and women who served our country. We owe them our gratitude, and they have more than earned access to the quality mental
So
health.
they barely modified the boilerplate text that they were given.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's not something that they wrote themselves. It was clearly,
Well, what do you
but
expect from the POSs?
yeah,
Just saying.
well, I think it just shows that they have complete lack of understanding or respect for what it is they're doing and who they're supposedly representing. But yeah, yep. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say, Floyd, as far as Memorial Day goes, before I get into some of the articles and stuff that I pulled out for today?
No, go ahead. Jump into the articles and everything. We'll get into the rest of it here shortly.
All right, sounds good. All right. Where'd it go? Wanted to start with some polling stuff here. All right, it says Donald Trump is polling better than ever in his political career, and here's the proof. At no other time in President Trump's political career have his poll numbers been as good as they are now. Not at this stage of the campaign in 2020, not even in 2016. Currently, President Trump commands a significant lead, somewhere between 2 and 6 points per the RCP average. I think it's Real Clear Politics, over Joe Biden in the national polls. Good as those numbers are, they belie even better results when broken down by swing state. According to the latest Real Clear Politics figures, the 45th president beats Biden by 4 and 12 points in the 7 most competitive battleground states this cycle: Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. Nevada was a state that was considered safely Democratic as recently as 2020. The Silver State has not been won by a Republican since George Bush eked out a 3-point victory over John Kerry in 2004. This was not a state that pundits considered would ever become competitive again, given the changing demographic realities on the ground and the Democratic Party's previous monopoly over Hispanics, a group that represents an outsized portion of Nevada's voters in recent years. But President Trump has defied all expectations. He now leads there by anywhere between 5 and 13-point margin, putting him safely beyond the margin of error. In addition, the presidential frontrunner commands significant leads in both Georgia at 4 points, Arizona at 4.1 points, 2 states that were subject to widespread voter fraud that unfairly turned the tables to Biden's advantage 4 years ago. North Carolina, once considered an intensely competitive battleground state that Trump squeaked by in his previous 2 presidential runs, is now safely in the Republicans' corner, so much so that pundits have already written it off as being safely red, even though Obama carried the state in 2008. Perhaps most significantly of all, formerly competitive states like Florida, he's at plus 11, Ohio plus 10, are no longer even being counted as battlegrounds. The 45th president's lead is so massive in those 2 states that they are now being grouped in the same category as states like Texas and Kentucky, which President Trump easily carried in both previous cycles, as well as being well out of Biden's reach. The verdict explaining this momentum is clear. If the election were held today, President Trump would win by a larger electoral margin than 2016 and amass more popular votes than he did in 2020. Today, the president can safely bet that he will win all of the above swing states, cruising to at least a 312 to 226 electoral college vote victory. And that analysis discounts states like Minnesota, a state that Reagan could not even carry in this landslide victory in 1984, where polling now showcases President Trump behind by a measly 2 points, and that is within the margin of error. If the election were held today, the president would easily win all competitive battleground states: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, cruising to at least a 312 to 226 electoral college victory, outpacing his historic 304 to 227 victory over Hillary Clinton in 2016. Excuse me. There's a possibility that President Trump could also pick off states like Minnesota, New Hampshire, Maine, Virginia, and even New Jersey, and possibly New York. Man, wouldn't that be crazy? Given his current momentum. So, too, does the analysis disregard states like Maine, New Hampshire, and even New Jersey, where Biden's quote unquote lead in at least two of those three states has shrunken to within the margin of error. Recent polling out of the Garden State would suggest the 45th president has more than a fighting chance. He's behind by only 5 points there, according to the Emerson College poll from March. This is a lead that has likely evaporated further, still in the wake of the historic presidential rally President Trump held earlier this month in Wildwood that broke records for the largest presidential rally in history. To put matters into perspective, at this point in the 2016 race, the Real Clear polling average had placed Clinton up over Trump by a whopping 20 points. This advantage at the time included states like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, where the Real Clear Politics final polls before Election Day had Clinton anywhere between 2 and 8 point lead. And those margins held steady despite the normal tightening that invariably occurs in the weeks leading up to any presidential election. 6 months out from Election Day in 2016, however, Real Clear Politics had Clinton trouncing Trump by most polls, further underscoring the significance of the shift that has occurred in President Trump's favor over the last 8 years. Similarly, in 2020, Real Clear Politics polling had Biden forecasted with a 7 point lead over Donald Trump heading into Election Day. That Biden margin has generally remained consistent with some expected tightening in the months leading up to Election Day. The polling at the time had Biden winning states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and further predicted him carrying states like Arizona, Florida, and Nevada. Now, 4 years later, every single one of those states are thoroughly out of Joe Biden's reach, who languishes behind President Trump by margins far worse than Hillary Clinton did at this same juncture in the campaign some 4 years earlier, according to statewide Real Clear Politics polling averages. Now, all this is not to suggest polling is the be and end all. Far from it. Experience would show just how easily the polls can be rigged in favor of the regime approved candidate, as was the case for Clinton, or if polling fails, how the election itself might be rigged in favor of the regime approved candidate, as was the case for Biden. Nevertheless, President Trump's new campaign slogan, "Too big to rig," has more going for it than simply being another catchy slogan, and reason as well to be hopefully optimistic. As we approach the summer months, we enter down the final stretch of the 2024 cycle, while opportunities abound for the regime to manipulate and sabotage the results of the 2024, much as they did in 2020 with the COVID lockdowns and George Floyd riots. These odds become less and less as we move closer to November. Why? For no simpler reason that it is much, much harder to gaslight a population with manipulative propaganda into believing an election was won by a candidate who allegedly commanded a 10-point average, 10-point advantage in the lead up to Election Day than the non-regime approved candidate who nonetheless is up in virtually every key battleground state, while outside the margin of error 6 months out from the election. Now, that's not to say such manipulation is implausible. Rather, that commentary merely underlines the difficulties the regime will face in selling to the population their preferred electoral outcome if and when they choose to once again meddle with the election procedures. In other words, even the best propaganda in the world will run into significant challenges thwarting the reality on the ground. That is not to disregard it as a possibility. The likely scenario is that it will happen. We will not and we have not even seen the worst of it yet, but merely to highlight the importance of good polling and the fanfare that has so far helped the fuel the president's record-breaking rally sizes, all of which in turn help shape public perception that President Trump's movement must be undefeatable. In politics, perception many times is reality, or becomes reality soon enough. Whenever reality and perception align perfectly, as it does this year with President Trump's 2024 campaign, it creates a political juggernaut. And that is exactly what accounts for the President Trump's unprecedented polling this many months out from November. So sorry. And that is exactly what President Trump's 2024 campaign is, a political juggernaut, one sustained by historic momentum that will likely never be seen again in our lifetime. So that was a bit of a longer read, but I thought that was really good and inspiring because it's we are in a completely different space than we were in 2020. They used the polls to gaslight the public in 2020 into believing the voter fraud. You know, they had to seed the consciousness of the American people into believing that uh, you know, Joe Biden winning that election was, you know, always what was predicted, despite the immense amount of nonsense that nonsense, you know, well, that led to the predicted outcome from weeks before. They're so far behind now that even their rigged polls and um, their gaslighting procedures are failing. So the article's perfectly stated. There's not going to be um, they're not going to have that seeded into the public's consciousness if they try to pull the same nonsense they did in 2020, while the polls are all showing Donald Trump up beyond the margin of error in the battleground states going into the election. I do think that they're going to have a lot harder time certifying that election, or getting people to believe it was legitimate. And I think a lot of people will be exposed, and it'll just be very, 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 very tough for the regime. So anyway, that's our first one today. Good, Pinata.
Well, you had the hidden Trump vote in 2016, a true underdog that they didn't see coming. Then by 2020, then you pretty much had somewhat, well, it started in 2018. 2018 and 2022, uh, your midterm elections, they tried to, I think in 2018, didn't they say it was a blue wave? Right. And I think that you had a little bit of overconfidence. I don't think you had enough participation because you had a lot of people that saw, yeah, hey, my guy's in office, and that typically follows with the midterm elections is kind of a referendum on the current administration. So they kind of were playing. So you have to look at this thing in this different cycles. So we have the 4-year cycle, the 2 years, and the well, 2 4-year cycles, general elections, midterm elections. Then you have the expectations of each side going into it based upon the previous understanding that there was some sort of precedents that were taking place. But we now know that those precedents were essentially just horseshit and kind of gaslighting about or just made up. They were fake fights. It was fake. It was you know, wrestling, right? The professional entertainment wrestling, right? It was, we're going to kick the can down the road, and then they essentially had all these different established norms that they like to use. You know, they like to use those words, right? About the typical thing that happens. And so now that we're playing this out, you had the polls that have kind of been used and misused. The poll, you know, they'll give you whatever poll you want, right? And then now they've since kind of gotten embarrassed. So I wonder if we're in an area now where they want to feel like they're somewhat reliable, just so they can maintain their own job security, their own. And so, and we go back to TN's big uh, tell is the trend. It's especially the ones that ask the same questions as he brings up. I think it's the Rasmussen one he always brings up, where you have the same people ask the same question, and then you see a trend over time, over a long period of time, not just a short period of time, not just from news coming out. I mean, yes, that affects it, but uh, so this cycle thing, right? So I feel the same way that we're an underdog here, but it also feels like you have the same momentum as 2020 had, but without the BS behind it of the doubt that the media sowed because of Trump's supposed handling of COVID and just in general of the playing off of the very real thing. But however, it was also, you know, it was inflicted uh, throughout the different states differently based upon how the governors were handling things. You know, like I said, it's hard to kind of exactly remember exactly what our mindset was back then, but it was very clear. I think it was like 6 weeks before the election. I was still over at PSB at the time, and I was talking with Radix, and there was something I can't remember what it was, and I go, holy shit, they're gonna have some bullshit that happens on election night, and because we had so much momentum in 2020, regardless of the media coverage or the way that they were showing how Trump supposedly was negatively handling negative coverage of Trump supposedly mishandling the pandemic, which, what, I say that using their words, not what it actually was.
Right.
But I had that feeling, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And then I remember I was on with you. I think we had Dilly and Frank on popping in every now and again around there, and it was like it was. I think you had just done something, or somebody was doing something, and then right when it came in, Dilly and I were there with the water main break. We're like, "What is this thing?" And it's just, and I'm just like, "Oh shit!" That feeling I had, that sinking feeling that they would do anything, because at that point in time, them doing anything was just that. But never but they've continued to escalate to, no, they wouldn't do that, no, 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 they wouldn't do that, no, they wouldn't charge him. I mean, for a year on my show, when I was doing it with going through the January 6th on select committee stuff, and then rolling out all these different cases, suppose, very heavy air quotes, I'm thinking to myself, they don't have a case, and they don't have cases. We know that. They still see they don't have cases just because they charge. They're counting on the naivety of the public that, oh well, oh come on, they wouldn't charge somebody if there was an actual crime. So, considering what they're willing to do and how each time they do that, it elevates and awakens people to the absurdity of it. And I know I apologize if it's a little kind of long-winded, but I wanted to kind of revisit the whole election cycles, how we felt, the polling, and tie it all together to where we are now.
I
So
remember,
where we are now is that they still don't have any of those cases. They're still going beyond and jumping beyond what we think that they're willing to do again and again and again. They're crossing line after line, Rubicon after Rubicon, and everyone sees it. So when I see the polling here and that article you read, I see something that's robust and not necessarily, a paper tiger.
yeah, that's all. It's good to go back and look at 2020 because I think there's a lot of nihilism and negativity, and skepticism, and maybe some of it's warranted because of what happened in 2020 going into 2024. But to Pinata's point, none of the polls showed Donald Trump winning in 2020. I mean, a lot of the polls that came out had like Biden up by 10 points in states like Michigan and Wisconsin. They had Florida being way more competitive than it was. It was, they were gaslighting really hard, and they were using COVID. They were using George Floyd. They were using all those things to do that. Um, they don't have that thing right now, and I think that goes back to the lawfare that you're seeing. I think the lawfare is the COVID or the George Floyd, so to speak. Um, and then I bet you if they're able to get a guilty verdict in this felony case or in this New York trial case, this hush money case, whatever you want to call it, and they're able to start, calling him convicted felon Donald Trump, I bet you that's when you'll really see the polls start to slant, and then they'll say like, oh, he was doing so good, and then this happened, and he really started to drop, and they're going to try to use that to justify whatever voter fraud that they pull. I think that this is what they're banking on because they can't do another pandemic. I don't think at this point between now and then. Even if they did, it would be Joe Biden, who's in charge of the response and whatnot. So a pandemic now doesn't really favor them. And then
No, they were always counting on some sort of a conviction of some sort. This is what they were banking on.
yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is like they use COVID to try to break the momentum. Then they can't do
Mhm.
something like COVID now. So the lawfare, the
Right.
conviction.
That's what I mean. The lawfare was always their plan. I don't think they were ever going to be able to pull off another pandemic thing.
Yeah, I agree. Because again, Donald Trump would have nothing to do with the pandemic response this time around. If a pandemic hit and put us in a bad spot, you either have to look at each governor individually or Joe Biden, but Donald Trump would have nothing to do with it. So it couldn't be a pandemic. Again, it's now a Joe Biden justice system, so it's not like they're going to be able to use like the police brutality thing with the same level of success that they did in 2020, like with George Floyd. So their only hope is to have something happen directly to Donald Trump or about Donald Trump that they can use to claim that is shifting the poll numbers, which again we'll see how the outcome of that is. But yeah, that's 100% what they're using or how they're going to try to justify the fraud anyway.
The only other thing that and this is why I've been making sure I've like I already said it today, and I think we've all said it, is that a lot of what they're trying to do is trying to provoke a response from the public if there's a guilty verdict, and do not buy into that whatsoever. Do not feed into them. The best thing we can do is explain to everyone that thinks that this is somehow detrimental to Trump how incredibly lame and absolutely without merit any of this is with this particular case. And this is why I've been trying to stay entirely on top of it, because I want to know what their argument is, because those are the people you have to talk to. The people that listen to their argument is the people you're going to have to convince.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Seaside Lady, thank you for that Rumble rant. $20, very generous. Says, thank you, Floyd, and all the veterans who have served. My dad was in the Navy for 20 years. This day is always very emotional for me. Thanks, Adel, for doing the show. Yeah, I really didn't want to miss it today, despite the difficulty in speaking.
Well, if you have more articles, let me read them for you.
Well, I appreciate that.
What do you have up next?
Well, I have a video actually next, so that works out. So the previous article mentioned the shift in Hispanic voters for Donald Trump, really highlighting Nevada, because Nevada has a very high Hispanic population, and like they were saying, it was considered a Democrat stronghold because of that. Well, Donald Trump has made major inroads. Here you have Ana Navarro getting salty with the Latino voters that are turning their backs on the Democrat Party. So let's take a
We'll
listen.
give you some cash.
What?
Go grab an oil trap. No. You want to change your oil? Fine. I'll pay for it.
Floyd, you came off mute, buddy. I don't know if you're.
Oh. Sorry about that. I was talking with my oldest stepson. Forgive me.
You're good, man. It's the beauty of live.
Actually, you just reminded me I have to change my oil, so thank you. I'm gonna write a note right now.
That's
fair enough. At least I got that done. But yeah, it is what it is. Go ahead, Adel.
All right, so here you go. Here's Ana Navarro.
There are a chance of send them back. All right, let's discuss now CNN political commentators Ana Navarro and Kate Bedingfield. Ana, let me start with you. I mean, you and I have talked about this many times about his rhetoric, the rhetoric he uses to talk about migrants and so on.
He's trying to use a selfie.
And I just have to ask you, Ana, I mean, when you look at the poll numbers and you see, if you break out the demographics, Trump is doing better among Latinos. He is doing better among African-American voters. And it certainly is a threat to the president's reelection campaign. Is there what do you make of this disconnect?
Well, a few things. One is I think America has a little bit of amnesia when it comes to Donald Trump. And frankly, being in a courtroom for the last 20 days, I think has helped him because he's not been out in rallies saying the stupid stuff he says and the incendiary, outrageous things he says on a daily basis. We've been focusing on Michael Cohen. We've been focusing on Stormy Daniels. We haven't been focusing on the things that Donald Trump says. Another thing is, I think at this point in 2024, this is kind of baked in. People already know the guy's a misogynist. They already know he's a racist. They already know he says divisive things. And they seem not to take him literally or seriously. They think it's kind of part of a clown act, entertainment. And then the third thing, Jim, and this is the truth, and you and I know this as Latinos, there are some Latino immigrants who forget they came here as immigrants and who want to shut the door behind them, and who think being anti-immigrant somehow is going to make them pass as more American, pass as whatever. And that's a very stupid attitude to have.
She means why?
Because what folks don't realize is that when the guy drives thousands of miles to go hunt down Latinos in a Walmart in Texas, he doesn't care when you came here. He doesn't care what your accent is. What he's looking for is, does it look like me? Does it sound like me? That's what he's looking for. So, when people are anti something, they're not asking for your papers. They're just anti that group.
Man,
That is so unfreaking believably
racist.
just wow.
I don't even know. I mean, like,
That's MSNBC level stuff right there. I mean, I know CNN's only right around the corner from MSNBC, but like she's like the Latino Joy Reid. That's just absolutely insane. I cannot believe they air that stuff, man. That's so divisive. That's so off base. It's just complete utter race baiting nonsense, and the projection is absolutely astonishing. The way these people are. Go ahead, Pinata.
I mean, everybody that I've ever heard, anybody that talks about America First, has no problems with legal immigration. I don't think I've heard anybody in my personal sphere, or even online. I have not seen people. Every time I've seen it, it's been legal immigrants. Like, because people understand and about they want that people to join in the ideal of the American spirit and just in the traditions of that, which ultimately is centered around not necessarily mandatory, but centered around a Christian mindset, but also with the nuclear family. So it's just anything to try to attack that part of it that you possibly couldn't want people here because of some sort of skin color or ethnicity or whatever construct socially they want to impose on everybody. I don't see people that way, but apparently they do, and in all aspects of things. And so if that's how you have to define things and qualify things with every single topic, who are the real racists? That would be my question,
Yeah.
and I think it's a rhetorical one, but
All right, guys. I got more clips as far as the polling and some reaction from some people on the left from the shifting demographics. But we do have to now go exclusively to pill.net for the second half. So make sure you jump on over there. The link is in the video description. And of course, as always, I'll put it in the live chats for you guys over on D Live and Rumble. Just go ahead and grab that link, throw it in your browser, click on it, whatever. I'll bring you right in, or just go to pill.net, find us at 412 Productions. I'm going to play a quick video, and then we'll come back on the other side, say goodbye to the other platforms, and then we'll read your gold pills. We got some generosity flowing in from right here on the panel. Thank you, Floyd, so much. And then we'll continue on with hour number 2. So go to pill.net
Well,
at 412.
brother, you deserve it. You work your ass off. So why not?
Well, I appreciate you, Floyd. Thank you so much, man. I really do. All right, we'll be right back, everybody.
Pill.net is proud to host 412 Productions, exclusively on the true home of free speech. To continue watching the show, we are here to help you over to Pilled. If you're new to the platform, just click on the welcome link provided. It will then automatically walk you through signing up for your free account. If you already have a Pill.net account, follow the link provided directing you straight to 412 Productions channel. We are excited to have you join the Pilled family, and if you have any questions at all, please email support@Pill.net. Enjoy the rest of 412 Productions on Pill.net. Free speech lives here.
All right, we are back. Thank you to everybody out there who's continuing on with us over on pill.net for hour number 2. That link is in the video description, again, underneath the Rumble stream, also in the Rumble chat, in the D Live chat. So I appreciate you guys all jumping over and like continuing to spend some more time with us here today. Those of you who aren't, no worries. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time, hopefully. I'll be in slightly better shape than I am today. And we should be doing a normal deplorable discussion. I have no idea if I'm going in the office or not, but either way, I'll do my best to prep a show. And we'll see what we got. But
I'll be on top of it. So if whatever, we'll have a lot of analysis and for closing arguments stuff. So
okay,
don't
good.
worry too much about it.
All right, good. So yeah, make sure you guys tune in tomorrow at 4 p.m. or jump over to pill.net and keep watching with us here. We're going to go at least a little while longer into this Monday evening. So yeah, without further ado, you guys have a great day if you're not popping over.